You're 17, kneeling in your mother's living room, tearing out the old beige carpet she's loathed since your birth. The local Home Depot wanted $2.99 per square foot just for the life-proof material, plus installation. 26 years later, you ink the documents in a Modesto law office and exit with $84 million. Bridging these two moments is an industry-bleeding 4,000 to 6,000 installers annually, with an average age of 56. This is a comprehensive look at an American flooring installer's career progression and the actual cost of a cent. That's what Rank Breakdown is all about. If you like career breakdowns with real numbers and no fluff, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Level 1, the helper. You're 17, and the cube truck pulls into the driveway at 5:45 in the morning. The lead installer says nothing, handing you a Home Depot utility knife and pointing to the back doors. Inside the Ford E350 are 8 rolls of Shaw carpet pad. You haul them one by one into a 12 by 14 bedroom in a tract house in the neighboring development. Then you return for the carpet. You earn $14 to $18 per hour. The customer pays $5 to $8 per square foot. You slice the old carpet into 3-foot strips, roll them, tape them, and stack them by the curb. The shop vac consumes staples and grit from the bare plywood. Your knees are numb on the subfloor by 7 a.m. Tack strip cuts open your knuckles. You persist. The lead snaps a chalk line for the seam and tells you to stand on it. At 10:30, he dispatches you for donuts and a Pepsi at the gas station. You bring back the wrong kind, but he eats them anyway. You cease to notice the scent of fresh pad. By Friday, the foreman knows your name. He hands you a Roberts knee kicker and instructs, hook it on the strip, then release. The carpet grips. The room is complete. You cash your first check and it clears. A man named John Schenk completed the 10-week FCEF program at Chattanooga State and was fielding apprenticeship offers within days. You begin inquiring about the cost of that program. The lead states that Level 2 is where you stop laboring for someone else. Level 2, the carpet and LVP mechanic. You're 22, and the truck is now yours. A leased Ram ProMaster emblazoned with your phone number. You're remunerated by the yard, $3.50 per square yard of carpet labor. A 100-yard day pockets you $350, and a 100-yard day is demanding. You unroll 6-pound rebound pad and secure it with a Boss-Stitch hammer tacker. 1 staple every 6 inches along the seam. You trim the pad half an inch from the tack strip with a loop pile cutter. You dry fit the carpet, aligning the arrow. You iron the seam with a Roberts seam iron and 3-inch hot melt tape, the smell of burnt glue never quite leaving your truck. The customer pays $6 per square foot installed. You earn $3.50 per yard. You stop keeping pay stubs. Your right palm develops a permanent callus from the kicker. The power stretcher snaps, taut across a master bedroom, and the carpet is drum tight. On Tuesday, a retiring mechanic in Grand Rapids passes you his crane power stretcher over the tailgate of his truck. Knees gave out before this thing did, he says, walking off without accepting payment. You encounter a woman named Crystal Sims at a preferred flooring job site there, a National Installer of the Year finalist. She inspects your seam, nods once, and remarks, "We're definitely in an installation crisis." Then she suggests you learn LVP. The following week, you're click-locking life-proof planks, priced at $2.99 a square foot, into a kitchen in a 1/3 stagger, cutting end pieces on a vinyl plank cutter. No dust, no saw. The homeowner tips you $40 and requests your card. You drive home with the truck, and the seam holds. Level 3, the multi-surface lead. The multi-surface. You're 28, earning $30 an hour, and the BLS median for the trade is $52,000 annually. You're no longer just a carpet guy. You're a tile guy, a hardwood guy, a self-leveler guy, a man with a Lagler Hummel sander in the back of the van and a bag of Mapei thinset beneath the passenger seat. The customer is paying for a master bathroom remodel, 12 by 24 porcelain herringbone. The wife saw it on Instagram. You inspect the subfloor with an 8-foot straight edge. The dip measures 3/16 over 10 feet. You pour Ardex self-leveler across 600 square feet of kitchen and observe it finding its own water. You roll Schluter-Dietrich into unmodified thinset. You snap chalk lines from the room's center. You dry lay the first row. You mix a 50-pound bag of thinset in a 5-gallon bucket with a Milwaukee drill. Comb it with a 1/4-inch square-notch trowel. Back butter every tile. You wet cut on a DeWalt wet saw, silica misting your forearms because the OSHA silica rule caps you at 50 micrograms per cubic meter, and dry cutting tile registers up to nearly 9 times the legal limit. You set tile in a running bond. You check lippage with a leveling system. Then, on Thursday, the homeowner trips the breaker before the thinset cures. The first 6 tiles lift. You sit in the truck for 10 minutes and eat a sandwich. You re-enter the space, carefully removing each tile in the row, cleaning the slab thoroughly, then reapplying adhesive and resetting them at your own cost, on your own time, before the homeowner's wife can see. Grout application happens Saturday. The bathroom gleams perfectly. The wife texts a photo to her sister, securing you 2 additional bids by Monday. A professional Sal de Blasi from Elite Tile Company in Boston hosts a YouTube channel where he assesses the certified tile installer hands-on test for the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation. He describes it as the most challenging 25 square feet of tile you'll ever lay. You view every video precisely twice. You start preparing for it. You meticulously sand red oak, moving from 36 grit to 80 grit with a Hummel sander, the fine dust pluming from the belt, obscuring the work light. You apply 2 coats of Bonatraffic finish using an applicator pad. You fasten 3/4 white oak planks with a power nail 50p flex, securing 1 cleat every 8 inches. The pneumatic thud echoing through an otherwise empty residence. You cease tallying projects. A seasoned wood floor journeyman leaves his old Lagler at your workshop after a single shared job, wordlessly driving away. You sit with it in the bay for an hour. The following morning, you accept your first commercial bid package, a school hallway encompassing 35,000 square feet of carpet tile that can be closed off. You are no longer just a hands-on installer. Level 4, the Foreman, you're 35. You manage a crew of 6. On Davis-Bacon prevailing wage public work within the city, an NYC Local 14-floor cover journey worker's base pay is $50.15 per hour, supplemented by $17.25 per hour in benefits, pushing your overtime earnings past $100,000 annually. The school project begins Saturday at 6 a.m. with your crew gathered in the parking lot, all in matching shirts, sipping gas station coffee. You deliver the tailgate briefing. Silica, PPE, the 2 emergency exits, the dumpster's location. Then you inspect the building. You take moisture readings with a concrete moisture meter, meticulously documenting relative humidity as per ASTM standards, and affix the printout to the binder. You arrange for glue and tile delivery to the loading dock. You snap precise center lines down a corridor that stretches longer than a football field. The crew spreads pressure-sensitive adhesive and installs Mohawk carpet tile in a quarter-turn pattern, box by box, completing 600 boxes by Sunday night. Perimeter cuts are made with a hook blade. Transitions are installed at every doorway. The punch list review with the architect occurs Monday morning. He singles out 2 tiles for replacement. You replace them before lunch. You sign apprentice time cards for installation through the United Brotherhood. This involves 6,000 hours of practical training and 144 hours of classroom instruction annually. And your first-year apprentice, a 19-year-old from the Bronx, successfully completes his first solo room without any callbacks. Junior Mercado leads a Christian Brothers flooring crew in Lakeside, California, and the National Tile Contractors Association recognizes him as the 2024 Commercial Tile Setter Craftsperson of the Year for projects including the porcelain at Petco Park. He states, "Seeing a tile project that I have been a part of and how it endures is a testament to the payroll." The general contractor signs the invoice. The check clears in 19 days. You begin parking your truck around the corner from the showroom because your perspective on it has shifted. You've started seeing it as a potential asset of your own. Level 5, the owner-operator. You're 44. Your business generates $2 million in annual revenue. You earn $200,000 a year. On payroll Friday, you authorize pay for 14 W-2 installers and 6 1099 sub-crews. Kay Whitner at the FCEF publicly states, we need to re-examine our approach to the 1099 contractor services. You read her statement twice but continue to compensate your team through both methods. You bid on a 60-unit multifamily tenant turnover project competing against Empire Today's commercial division, and you secure the contract. This victory stems from your meticulous measurements of every unit with a Leica laser, while they relied on floor plans. You acquire 4,000 square feet of Shaw Resilient direct from a Gallagher representative. Gallagher, now under Transom Capital, operates 36 locations across 7 states, and you mark it up 30% for retail. You achieve the Shaw SFN 365 program tier, and the rebate statement arrives. A standard 5% on purchases, which effectively becomes your profit margin, making the showroom itself a loss leader. You renew your California C15 flooring license, maintaining a $25,000 contractor bond on file with the CSLB, and you approve the next Ford Transit wrap order, costing $40,000. Bob Nichols, who founded Flooring Partners in Baltimore in 1990, sells his company to SCI Flooring, a Rainier Partners-backed firm, on August 5, 2025. 26 employee owners benefit from the sale. You review the press release in your truck. At a Wawa parking lot, you print it out. You staple it to the corkboard above your desk. The CFO you hired in March presents you with the P&L on payroll Friday, indicating the year is projected to clear $2.4 million. The young worker in Bay 3 is earning $14.90 an hour, unloading a roll of padding from a truck for a homeowner with a Civic in the adjacent subdivision. You choose not to tell him you once stood in his shoes. You engage a broker. Level 6. The exit. You're 53. The broker brings an investor pitch deck into the conference room. Live Ventures Incorporated, NASDAQ listed, ticker LIVE. They're looking to acquire regional flooring businesses. Their goal is 20 warehouse-style stores. This involves 625 employees and contractors, generating $125 million in annual revenue. Steve Kellogg, who launched Flooring Liquidators and Modesto back in 1997, finalized his agreement on January 19, 2023. The deal was for $84 million, funded with cash, a $5 million promissory note from Isaac Capital Group, and 116,441 shares of Live Ventures common stock. This resulted in a 3.78% dilution. You read his statement in the press release. We're very proud of what we've accomplished. You let that resonate. On a Tuesday, you tour the warehouse. It's 104,000 square feet, filled with pad rolls, LVP pallets, Mohawk samples, and the very same Pepsi machine you installed in the break room in 2009. You signed the asset purchase agreement at a Modesto law office, a room just like the one where your mother signed her divorce papers. The wire transfer arrives on Friday. You hand the C15 qualifier paperwork to your general manager of 9 years. You stay on for a 12-month transition period. You write a personal check using some of the proceeds to the foreman who'd been there for 22 years, the one who gives you his hard hat when you leave. His wife cries when she sees the amount. The young guy in Bay 3 earns $14.90 an hour. He's pulling life-proof flooring off the shelf at $2.99 per square foot for a homeowner avoiding the Home Depot installation fee. He doesn't know your name. He doesn't need to. The industry he's just entered loses between 4,000 and 6,000 installers each year, and the average age in his trade is 56. He represents one of 8,400 new openings annually. The BLS projects a 6% growth through 2034, which is faster than the average for all occupations. You walk through the Modesto warehouse again one Tuesday morning, a year after the sale. It's the same building, the same Pepsi machine, but a different name on the title. The Roberts knee kicker you received at 17 is now in a glass case on the front office wall. No longer yours, but still stenciled with your name. The BLS continues to report that carpet installers and floor sanders have some of the highest injury and illness rates among all occupations, and your right knee still predicts rain. You miss a Christmas with your daughter when she's 9. She calls you on a Tuesday in October to tell you she's bidding her first tile job in Sacramento with your old crane stretcher in her truck. You drive past your mom's house on your way home. The carpet you tore out at 17 is still gone. The life proof you installed for her at 22 is still there. The warehouse keys are on the hook by the law office door, no longer belonging to you, but the truck in the driveway is fully paid off and your name is on the title.